What would you do if you saw a veteran, someone who had dedicated years of their life to serving their country, now struggling on the streets? On a cold November afternoon in Chicago, Donald Trump found himself strolling down Michigan Avenue, wrapped in a long blue-black coat, when he noticed something that stopped him in his tracks. Sitting hunched against a building, a woman with old tattered clothes held a cardboard sign that read, "Veteran in need. Please help." Her eyes, weary and full of hardship, caught his attention. Without hesitation, Trump approached her, introduced himself, and learned her name, Teresa Hensley, a 12-year Army veteran who had been injured overseas. Teresa's story was heart-wrenching. She had lost her apartment, and life had become a constant struggle. But Trump, moved by her situation, knew he couldn't just walk away. In that moment, he made a decision that would change her life forever. Stay with us to see how one small act of kindness can make all the difference. It was a crisp, cold November afternoon in Chicago, with the wind biting through the bustling streets of Michigan Avenue. The city was alive, filled with the usual rush of pedestrians, cars, and the distant hum of city life. Skyscrapers towered above, their windows reflecting the gray sky, while the colorful lights from shops and restaurants added a sense of vibrancy to the otherwise chilly day. Amidst the energy of the city, Donald Trump walked down the avenue, dressed sharply in a blue-black coat and a striking red tie. He was in town for a meeting, but instead of heading directly to his destination, he decided to take a moment to stroll through the heart of the city. He breathed in the cool air, taking in the rhythm of the crowd, feeling the pulse of Chicago. Little did he know, this walk would lead him to a moment that would change a life forever. As Trump continued his walk down Michigan Avenue, something caught his eye. Sitting against the side of a building, hunched over in the cold, was a woman with old tattered clothes. She held a simple cardboard sign that read, "Veteran in need. Please help." Her face, weary and weathered, stood in stark contrast to the bustling city around her. People walked by, lost in their own worlds, but Trump couldn't ignore her. There was something about her, her tired eyes, the exhaustion etched into her face, that made him pause. Curious and moved by her presence, Trump took a step closer. He approached the woman with a calm but genuine expression. "Ma'am," he said softly, "what's your name?" The woman looked up, startled at first. She hadn't expected anyone, let alone someone like Donald Trump, to speak to her. After a brief pause, she responded quietly, "Teresa." Teresa Hensley. Trump knelt down in front of her, his eyes meeting hers as he asked, "Teresa, are you a veteran?" She nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, sir. I served in the Army for 12 years, got injured overseas, and, well, things haven't been easy since." Her words were simple, but the weight behind them was unmistakable. Trump could see the depth of her struggle, the challenges of transitioning from military life, the pain of injury, and the hardships that had followed her return to civilian life. She wasn't just another homeless person on the street. She was someone who had given years of her life to serve the country, only to end up here, on the cold sidewalk of Michigan Avenue. It was a story that hit Trump harder than he expected, and it was clear that something needed to be done. Trump stood there for a moment, processing Teresa's words. He was visibly moved by her story, her years of service, the injury that had changed her life, and the harsh reality of her current situation. He couldn't just walk away. This was more than just a passing moment. It was a call to action. His heart ached as he looked at her, her trembling hands holding that simple sign, and he knew he had to do something now. Without a second thought, Trump pulled out his phone and dialed his assistant, Margaret. "Margaret," he said, his tone urgent, "I need you to find the nearest hotel with availability and call a doctor, someone who can do a quick checkup. Tell them it's urgent. And get someone from Veterans United to help." Margaret responded immediately, assuring him it would be taken care of. Trump then turned back to Teresa. "Stay right here," he said firmly, offering a reassuring smile. He spotted a nearby food vendor and quickly walked over, buying a hot bowl of soup and a sandwich. He returned to Teresa and handed her the food. As she ate, her hands still trembling from the cold, Trump continued to learn more about her life, the struggles she faced, the friends she had lost, and the difficult transition back into civilian life. It was clear that Teresa had been through more than anyone should have to endure. But now, help was on the way. Within minutes, a sleek black SUV pulled up to the curb. Margaret had worked fast, arranging for Teresa's immediate transportation to a nearby luxury hotel. The driver stepped out and opened the door, inviting Teresa to step inside. She looked up at Trump, unsure of what to expect, but he smiled reassuringly. "This is for you," he said gently, helping her into the vehicle. "We're taking you somewhere safe." The ride to the hotel was quick, and upon arrival, Teresa was treated like royalty. The hotel staff, prepped by Margaret, greeted her warmly and escorted her to a suite on the top floor. Inside, a hot shower, fresh clothes, and a warm bed awaited her. Teresa, overwhelmed by the kindness, couldn't believe what was happening. Within moments, a doctor arrived to examine her, providing medicine and advice to help her regain her health. But the help didn't stop there. Trump had already made arrangements with Veterans United Support Services, a nonprofit dedicated to helping homeless veterans reintegrate into society. A cheerful representative named Lisa soon arrived to meet Teresa, offering housing, job training, and a full support system to help her rebuild her life. Trump stayed nearby, overseeing the entire process, making sure every detail was handled smoothly. To ensure Teresa's stability, he even arranged for his foundation to cover her rent for the first year. This was more than just a temporary fix. It was a fresh start for Teresa, and Trump was committed to seeing it through. As Teresa sat in the comfort of the luxury hotel, surrounded by warmth and care, tears began to fill her eyes. She looked at Trump, overwhelmed by everything that had happened in such a short time. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Trump," she said, her voice full of emotion. "I never expected anyone, especially you, to help someone like me." Trump smiled gently, kneeling in front of her. "You don't need to thank me, Teresa," he said, his voice calm but firm. "You've earned this. You served your country, and you've been through more than anyone should have to endure. No one should be left behind, especially someone who's given so much." He paused, then added, "Just promise me one thing. Pay it forward. Someday, when you're back on your feet, help someone else the way we've helped you." Teresa nodded, a newfound sense of determination in her eyes. By the end of the day, she had a clear path forward. Thanks to the kindness and quick action of Donald Trump, along with the support of Veterans United, Teresa now had temporary housing, access to job training, and a strong support system to guide her. The weight of uncertainty had lifted, and for the first time in months, she saw a bright future ahead. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about thriving. In just one day, Teresa's life had been completely transformed. What started as a chance encounter on a cold Chicago street had turned into a new beginning, thanks to the compassion and quick action of one person, Donald Trump. Teresa now had a safe place to stay, medical care, and the support she needed to rebuild her life. Her story is a powerful reminder of how one act of kindness can spark a ripple effect, changing not just one life, but potentially many others. Now think about your own life. How can you make a difference in your community? Whether it's offering a helping hand or simply showing kindness to someone in need, every action matters. If you were moved by Teresa's story, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspirational stories. Your support helps spread these messages of hope and compassion. Remember, together, we can make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.